Isn't it just amazingly crazy, right? I'm not a fan of police at all. Okay, but how is it that the top cop in Baltimore, which happened to be a black man, facing 3 years for not paying taxes? While there's a Caucasian man from Germany or wherever he's supposed to be from who confessed to not paying taxes, and neither was he charged for it, but Hillary, which was Secretary of State, become President of the United States. Black man got to go to jail, face a judge, or step down. White man don't pay taxes and become President of the United States. And then tell you he don't pay taxes. Somebody explain that to me before we even get started. So, as we were saying, back for the notes again. Parental rights, child custody rulings are the sum total of one's right to the child, in the child, and of the child. The right to have the child bear parental name, to prevent adoption of the child without parental consent, physical possession of the child's day-to-day companionship, the right to discipline the child, rights to inoculate the child's parent's moral, ethical standard, the teaching of nationality and divine creed. In the United States, the Constitution protects parental rights unless said rights are relinquished by the parents through submission to the courts. Children fathered outside of marriage bonds are legally classified as illegitimate or black bastards. This is yet another reason why Drew Ali said don't take your case to European courts. So-called black people, formerly 3/5 of a person in the Constitution, but now made a legal person in the 14th Amendment, are actually defined as United States aliens or corporate property, an illegitimate child. Now notice they classified you as alien, then they said you got to have a green card for tax, for not paying taxes when you're in the store. By the 14th Amendment, as a personal property within meaning of the Equal Protection Clause, this is to say that once the mother files charges against the biological father for so-called child support, which is fraud, or paternity case, a host of granted privileges are permanently lost. Perhaps lost is not a correct word. After all, the court is conveniently sitting there downtown. It is really the mother with child who voluntarily goes there and gives hers and father's parental rights to roam. There is only one major question with which the court of paternity seek an answer. Is he the father? Any form of yes answer is then a guilty verdict. Guilty of what crime, sir? In case you missed something, she has brought you here before this court, violation of fathering an illegitimate child, a black bastard out of wedlock. You have been found guilty of being the father and fined X amount of dollars per month. If you fail in arrears of this restitution beyond the state misdemeanor limitations, you will become a fugitive felon and in prison. Again, which is fraud. Now, in any court, when a guilty verdict and sentence is opposed, someone is then a criminal. But there is a lot more not on the surface of these proceedings. The mother has given the European courts jurisdiction over the child and herself. Now, it will dictate to her what she must and must not do, as the courts allow her the privilege to oversee its child. The father becomes a criminal, sentenced to 18 to 21 years of fines, probations, jails, pending compliance. Compliance if you comply. The paternal line is broken. All rights normally due a natural father. Paternal line, the genealogy, descent relationship between two persons which is traced through the father. Black Law Dictionary. In essence, the father genealogy is legally castrated. The power of the court cuts the cord. The court then becomes the father and assumes the power to designate guardianship of his child. Once the court has lawfully degraded the biological father to a criminal, he not only has a criminal record that can and will be used against his potential prosperities, which is illegal in the United States, from the United States Supreme Court to the Maryland State Supreme Court, Article 3, Section 38. But he will likely become officially a slave according to the 13th Amendment. This is how the United States, via its courts, which hold title to NBC, legally produces My Baby's Daddy. Lastly, and most important to remember, is the 7 states which the court in the United States, by way of the 1868 Congress, was given complete jurisdiction guardianship over the so-called Negro in its ratification of the de facto 14th Amendment. For those who doubt or may not understand or are in denial of the illegitimate of the lawful fact, the author suggests the reader go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will gladly give you a favorable reply. Through the courts, the state have the power to change the name of its property at will, be it from mother to guardian, Negro, black, father to criminal, child to bastard, or innocent to guilty. The courts own the assets of every Negro in the United States. This is why they warn you, do not take your affairs to European courts. Once there, you are guaranteed to one thing: your child and the father will not come out the same as you went in. There can be no winners when the plaintiffs and defendants are both properties owned by the state. So you got two state properties fighting against each other. That's not going to win. Being unaware of the above legalized lynching, the single moms sensing the father's status, baby stripped from the fallen mate, now chant the ghetto victory mantra by referring to him as merely my baby's daddy. My baby's daddy is purely street and another colloquial term used predominantly by whom else? The single moms. Rarely do these mothers realize this term deludes the paternal father to a male who has been systematically void of all fatherhood rights. From a true legal prospectus, the courts of Rome are now the father of his child. The terminology basically means there is now a third party, court standing between the father, child, and the child's mother. Ain't that some shit?